Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order for November 15, 2017, the meeting of the Interboro School Board of School Board Directors. May we have a roll call, Mrs. Caldwell?
Ms. Boyle?
Here.
Mr. Chavone?
Here.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Phelps?
Here.
Mr. Eckert?
Here.
Mr. McGarvey?
Here.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mrs. DeBattista? Here. Mr. Harris?
Here. May we have the invocation and a pledge of allegiance, Mr. Evans?
Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer. Bless all schools, colleges, and especially the Interboro School District, and grant to this board, in their deliberations this evening, the spirit of wisdom, truth, and knowledge. What is undertaken always be done in charity and in peace, and what we do might be for the benefit of others. All this we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving right along, we'll now hear from the student representatives. Ariana and Samantha, you're up.
In October, the Kindergarten Academy had their first field trips to Highland Orchard and John Hines, along with their annual harvest celebration. The children continue to earn K-Coins by being respectful, responsible, and safe on a daily basis. And the K-Coin winners have participated in a dance party with Mrs. Killian, an extra gym class with Mr. Mack, and an extra recess with Mr. Coleheb. Students are working hard in the classrooms, and they are growing as mathematicians and readers every day.
For the Glen Olden School District, October was a very busy month. The fifth graders visited John Hines. The second graders have been working very hard preparing for the Peacemakers show. Fourth grade got to visit Pete's Produce in Westchester. The third grade got to see the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. The Home and School Association also organized their fall book fair. Eighth grade saw The Tales of Poe at the Hedgehog Theater.
At Norwood School, parents and students participated in box-out bullying programs October 12th and 13th. These were very informative and well attended. These presentations reiterated the differences between bullying and rude behavior. Thank you to parents, home and school volunteers, and teachers for supporting this school-wide initiative. Their goal is to increase awareness and communication with students and parents in solving conflicts and educating on what bullying is and is not. The annual Halloween parade for the elementary students in grades 1 through 5 was held on Tuesday, October 31st at 1:30 p.m.
For Prospect Park, October 31st, they held their annual Halloween parade, which was a huge success. The middle school students kept up their spirit, and they all 150 attended their Halloween dance.
On October 5th, Tinicum School had their fire prevention program for the first, second, and third grades. Tinicum Township Fire Company came to the school and brought some of their equipment to show the students. On October 19th, the middle school music department had the opportunity to perform and attend a Philadelphia Flyers game. On October 20th, the Tinicum community was invited to a movie night put on by their home and school. On the week of October 23rd was Tinicum School's Red Ribbon Week. It celebrated a unified and visible commitment towards being drug-free. Each day was celebrated with a different theme, and on Friday, students signed a school-wide pledge to be drug-free.
For the Interboro High School, October 13th, we held our Special Olympics Fall Festival. For the second year in a row, Interboro hosted the Fall Festival. The participating schools were Garnet Valley, Marble Newtown, and Ridley. It is one of the most rewarding days here at Interboro for all of our students. A big thank you goes out to Mr. John McLaughlin again for this year for all the hard work and getting everything organized for this magnificent event. October 26th was our Student of the Month winners. Congratulations to our October winners who are in 9th grade, Kelly Connor, 10th grade, Shanita Russell, 11th grade, Madison Antes, and 12th grade, Brianna Mathis. Our Student Athletes of the Month are Madeline Rizzo and Dominic Scrivano. Our Teacher of the Month winner is Mrs. Milenich. Please keep up the good work. We are all very proud of you. On November 2nd, Ms. Ruiz was invited to go perform for the governor in Harrisburg for Heritage Month. Congratulations, Ms. Ruiz. This concludes our report.
Thank you, Ariana. Samantha, excellent job as always. I'd like to turn this over to Superintendent Riley for recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. At this time, I'd like to invite the building principals down, please. On behalf of the Interboro Board of School Directors and Administration, each year we recognize our teachers who have reached an incredible mark within their professional career, and that's 30 years of teaching excellence here in the Interboro School District. I'd like to invite Ms. Lambert and Mr. Snyder up first to speak about Mrs. Convery, who I taught with my first year. She was my grade partner at Glen Olden School. So I'll turn that over to Ms. Lambert.
Hello. Thank you for letting me talk with Glen Olden. I know I'm not the current principal, but we worked together for many years at this point. And I can honestly say Michelle is the definition of dedication. Michelle is there first, and I can guarantee she might be the last to leave. And she's also one of those teachers that you say, I wonder who has, and Michelle always has whatever you're wondering you might need. In addition to, she cares about her kids deeply. They have always gone back and checked in and said how Mrs. Convery's doing and making sure that she was still okay, which tells me that throughout their time in her classroom, she did the same for them. And so I always wanted to say thank you for your true dedication and care for our students.
In the short time that I've been at Glen Olden so far, I have seen that dedication through and through. One little thing that Mrs. Convery does every month basically is prepare a nice little lunch slip just out of the kindness of her heart to help make her coworkers' day a little bit easier in those busy morning meeting minutes when the kids are choosing their lunch for the days. It's those little types of things that she's constantly doing that shows her dedication, her passion, her hard work, not only for her students, but for her coworkers as well.
Thank you. Mrs. Convery, please come on down here. Another teacher from Glen Olden, Mr. Bill Gardner.
So Bill and I are ones that if we are together too long, we can get ourselves into some trouble, because Bill for me is fun, and he makes learning fun, and he has fun every single day at his job, and he doesn't consider it a job because he cares so much about the kids and the people around him. We started as special education teachers together when I first started, and Bill was one of those welcoming teachers that said whatever you need, and as I worked through Glen Olden, it was always whatever you need at the end of the day, and that is always going to be most appreciative. But Bill is one of those who, whatever a kid needs, will always say, let me know, and I will be there. He has supplied multiple meals and supplies and clothes and presents for kids who might not have, and Bill never says, what else? He always says, what else? And never, it's too much. So thank you, Bill.
Speaking of the meals, one of the moments that I get to spend with Mr. Gardner each and every day is our time in first grade lunch. For lunch duty. Mr. Gardner is fantastic. It was a great welcoming. I was nervous coming from the high school with all the shoes I had to tie, the milks I had to open, the Go-Gurts that needed to be open, and Mr. Gardner's there with me through and through all those moments, and a great, wonderful smile there every single day to help those students through that lunchtime, and it's been fantastic. It just shows his dedication.
Bill, come on down. Have a seat right here, Mr. Gardner. Mr. Gardner's feeling a little bit under the weather, but he wanted to come tonight, so you're a trooper. Mr. Mills, you're going to speak about Mrs. Leary, another teacher that I've had the pleasure of working very closely with as grade partners at some point in our career.
I think we're all three of us were at the same building at one time.
We absolutely were.
I asked Mrs. Leary to write a few things down for me, and then I wrote a few other notes because I don't like to do them off the top of my head. Mrs. Leary, Carol Phillips Leary. 1983 to 84, started in Camp Upland with Mr. Ackelson as the director, then went on to Mr. Jamie Knackman for a long-term sub, first grade at Prospect Park. 86, 87, kindergarten long-term sub for Carol Story, then became a building sub in Prospect Park. 87, 88, full year in Tinicum, long-term sub for Dixie Heyman. 1988, 89, Norwood teacher of intermediate grade, several years of 5th, 3rd, and 4th. By the year 2000, I had my special ed certificate and developed the concept of multi-age classroom and our looping model as an outreach program for students needing a transitional bridge for those students not qualifying for special ed services though struggling in regular ed. Betsy Lindsay taught Transition 1 and 2, Barb McNamara 2 and 3, Mara Burns 3 and 4, and Carol Leary grade 4 and 5. This was a huge success for students, though the program only lasted maybe 3 or 4 years. I've been teaching 4th grade ever since and loving every minute of my career here at Norwood School in the Interboro School District. Now my part. I personally had the pleasure of knowing Carol for over 25 years as a friend, colleague, and now her principal. I found her to be thoughtful, caring, nurturing, not only with her students, but also with her relationships with parents, friends, and colleagues. Carol goes out of her way to reach students at their level, makes learning fun, and students blossom under her teaching. Mrs. Leary also excels at teaching all subjects, but being a former chemistry teacher, I have seen her excel at teaching science, which is a credit to her and her 4th grade students. Mrs. Leary is loved by everyone at Norwood School. Her sense of humor is infectious and raises everyone's spirit on a daily basis. Norwood School is lucky to have her and look forward to the future with Mrs. Leary.
Carol, come on down. Not least, Mr. Kelly to speak on behalf of Trish Phillips.
Thank you. I'm going to start off with a quote. Everyone who remembers their own education remembers teachers, not methods or techniques. It is the teacher that is the heart of the educational system. The heart is the word that I would use to best describe Trish Phillips. Like the captain of a squad or the #1 fan cheering on her team, Trish embodies the heart and devotion necessary to being an outstanding teacher. Anyone who knows Trish Phillips knows how much she cares for her students. So much so that she tends to keep tabs on their future successes and lets the rest of the faculty know how well they are doing now. Her work over the past 30 years has yielded countless examples of achievement and grateful students. In that time, Mrs. Phillips has done it all. From her first year as a Chapter 1 reading teacher to 2nd grade, then to 4th, and now back to 2nd, assistant girls basketball coach, teacher mentor, sponsor for the school safeties, school publicist, and now the head coach for the Interboro High School's girls varsity basketball team. Her choice to be involved both in and out of the classroom further illustrates the heart and care she has for the students of our great school. So what is it that has kept that spirit, drive, and caring commitment going for the past 30 years? Was it the tap dancing across the front of the room in front of Mrs. Conaball's class? Was it the time you put together the musical, the Disney musical, where you had the kids marching off to the administration building with M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-E? Or maybe more recently, and I was hoping to have her up here for a demonstration, but more recently with the peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time. In each of these instances, and especially that last one, these were just the right thing for the moment. Mrs. Phillips recognized a need for either a smile or a quick pick-me-up for one special student who needed it. And that is the heart of a great teacher. I can count on one hand, and a calculator, the number of times per week Ms. Phillips updates me on the triumphs and successes of her former students, whether they are playing in the Little League World Series, making the Daily Times, or getting accepted to college. Mrs. Phillips is always proud of her former students and where they have gone and what they have grown to be, as if she is their #1 fan. This is also true for her current students, as one of my highlights every day when she sends students to my office to share their work or a high score on a test or have them read to me a story they just wrote. Caring is Miss Phillips. A teacher's capacity for caring is limitless, and the care Trish has for her students is evident. Irrespective of the additional work it may cause for her and the precedent she may be setting for new procedures, she puts forth that care for her students. Trish puts her students first, even if it means walking that extra few miles to the Prospect Park Nursing Home and complaining the whole way there. By the way, the Sarge says she loves having you back in second grade. But the experience is what our students will remember. And experiences are how Mrs. Phillips best relates to her students. Through her own life stories, Mrs. Phillips empathizes with her students and guides them through the difficult learning experiences of elementary school, preparing them for the future. What is most apparent is that Mrs. Phillips loves her students. She loves her job. For 30 years, she's been coming to school with a smile. She has approached each day with energy. Whether it's singing, tap dancing, or coaching basketball, Mrs. Phillips is here to work and to give 100% for her students. Trish is a respected and appreciated member of the Prospect Park school community, and her experience and knowledge make her an asset to our school. Thank you.
So on behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for your 30 years of service. It is all of you that make the difference every day in the lives of our students. You are in the classrooms. You are there to support them 100%. I've seen it. I've had the privilege of working with some of you directly. I've been to visit your classrooms. You have had a tremendous impact on our students, and without you, Interboro would not be what it is today. So I thank you so much. I wish you continued success in your career and enjoy this time that you have. So thank you so much. Thank you. Can we take a picture? Hold your apples. Can you get them all in? Great.
Thank you so much, everyone. Next, recognition is a very sad part for us. So I'd like to say on behalf of the Interboro School Board, I would like to thank Debbie DiBattista, Paul Eckert for their years of dedication to the school and the community. No one understands how hard work and time goes into this position. Your experience and knowledge is appreciated and has been a pleasure to serve with you on the Interboro School Board. I'm going to turn this back over to Mrs. Riley again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I would like to thank, on behalf of the administrators, the time and the dedication that Mr. Eckert and Ms. DiBattista have put into their position and their time on the Interboro Board. It is not an easy task to be a school board director. You live within the community. These are the folks that you live with and represent, and sometimes there are challenges that we face. And I have always believed that both Mr. Eckert and Mrs. DiBattista have really put the needs of the students and the best, what the district does best in the forefront, and that is ensuring that we are providing a quality education for our students. And I think we've made some tremendous gains over the years, and this would not happen without their support. So on behalf of the administrators, thank you again. We wish you the best, and we hope that you will continue to support the district in a communal capacity, and thank you again. We do have something for you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to public comment. Mr. Evans?
Yes, we have Kelly Bradley from Leicester.
Good evening, everyone. Kelly Bradley, 202 4th Avenue, Leicester, PA. And a couple things. First of all, I do want to thank all of you for, my voice is kind of gone here. I don't know what happened. Thank you all for all that you do. But one of the reasons I'm standing up here is that my two members from Tinicum, Paul Eckert and Deb DiBattista, have been on the board for quite a long time. Deb, we helped run her little campaign a few years ago, and we thank you for sticking it out. And I know it's been rough, but you've stuck in there with having the kids and everything and working through. So thank you so much for your dedication. And then for Eckert, he did not want to for me to embarrass him, but I will, just a tad. He has served on this board for over a decade. And those of you who have been around as long as I have been, you know that some of the turmoil on this board was at times unbecoming of things that would happen. And so he's seen a lot, he has given a lot back, and he has had our backs in Tinicum all these years. And we've had 2 children go through the school district. And the neat thing is that he was president when our youngest graduated, so he got to sign his diploma, which was really cool. And the other piece I want to thank is that your husband and your wife and all your spouses, the amount of time that they deal without you guys is another credit to your service here at the school board. So I do want to say thank you again, and you just really deserve our honor for doing what you do for no pay. So thank you very much. And I'd also like to congratulate the 30-year members of I actually am in 30 years, and my district doesn't do that. So I'm going to give kudos to you guys again, that I'm taking that back to my superintendent and saying that's a really, very nice honor, and you guys deserve being honored here for 30 years. And again, thank you guys for all that you do.
Thank you. Number 5, please.
Motion 5.1, that the following minutes of the regular meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors held on October 18, 2017 be approved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Solicitor's report, Mrs. Goham.
Excuse me, point of order.
Go ahead.
Student reps.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Yep,
What are we
thank
going to do now that you're gone?
I don't know.
They're going to have to sit through the whole meeting now. You guys got to thank Mr. Eckert, because you guys will be here the whole time. You are excused. Thank you. Sorry, back on track here. Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Solicitor's report, Mrs. Goham.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. This month, our office has been consulting with the school district concerning registration, administrative regulations, student issues, special education, and contract review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Goham. Number 7, please.
Motion 7.1, that the attached treasurer's report for the month ending October 31st, 2017 be approved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Number 8.
Sorry, 7.2, that fund
I'm sorry.
disbursements in the amount of $3,650,124.60 be approved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion.
Motion 7.3, that the budget transfers for the 2017-2018 school year be approved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Number 8, correspondence.
We have no correspondence tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Number 9, committee reports. Finance meeting, Mr. McGarvey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The finance meeting met Monday, November 13th, 2017. Some of the highlights of the meeting are as follows. The 2018-2019 general fund budget timeline was discussed with board members. Number 2, the resolution for the refunding of the general obligation bonds, Series 2014, was presented and discussed by Audrey Bear of Robert W. Baird and Company. The district is seeking to recognize interest savings by refunding certain outstanding bonds. And number 3 is the preliminary financial statements for the period ended October 31st of 2017 were presented to board members for discussion. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. GBO meeting, Mrs. Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. The GBO meeting started on November 6th, directly after the finance meeting. Highlights of the meeting was the discussion of the communications system to extend the lease for 3 more years with a $1 buyout at the end of the lease. The second topic of the meeting was to install cameras in the South Avenue field due to vandalism on the field. We had asked Mr. High School to come back with the total cost and the location of the cameras to be installed. The third and most and very exciting presentation was the school performance profile scores. The administrators did a fabulous job presenting their scores for each school. You did a great job. They showed growth for each school. And not only did you show growth, you also told us the plan to continue on growing throughout the school. And that ends our GBO meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Legislation, Mr. Burns.
I just want to focus on the, we had the election on November 7th, and there was a question that was on the, in the machines for you to read that was utterly confusing. And we talked about Senate Bill 76 at length. For those who are new, Senate Bill 76 is something that was floating around the legislation to eliminate school property tax. And to keep it as simple as possible, your school district is funded from state money and from federal money, but mainly it's from local money, and that comes from taxing commercial businesses and residences. So the question that was on the ballot was whether or not we are to change the state constitution to allow the legislators to change how we exempt certain tax money. So to keep it in English, if you live in a primary residence, if your only home is in Interboro School District, you can elect a homestead exemption, and that allows you to exempt what your house is assessed at, meaning what your tax liability is, of 50% of that. Well, the referendum question, which was passed, allows now for 100% exemption. So now essentially by more people voting yes than no on that question, we are now allowing our legislators to move forward with potentially, and it doesn't have to be right away, and it may never happen, but likely it will happen in the next probably 3 to 5 years, in passing legislation that will allow for elimination of school tax. The exemption, by going from 50% to 100%, there's now potentially going to be a shortfall. So how are we going to fund our schools? We're not going to just get rid of taxing people's houses, right? That's an impossibility. The money has to come from somewhere. So what has been going on and what Senate Bill 76 was trying to do was change where that money would come from. So as a lawyer, we had somebody in Harrisburg talking about or lobbying against having legal services taxed. So if you go to get a will written and a lawyer gives you a fee, there could be a tax that's on top of that. That doesn't really do well for our clients. And likewise, sales tax could be increased, or things that are taxed could now be subject to tax. There has to come from somewhere. So the real-time figure is if there's 100% exemption now, that's a possibility. That's about probably $6 or $7 billion that there's a shortfall that could exist across the state. So what we're really doing now is shifting potentially your houses being the taxing authority for us, the school board, to make decisions on, and we're giving it back potentially down the line to the state to make a determination. Whether you're for that or against that, I think the reality of the last 2 years is, and I've spoken about it, is there's been a budget holdup. They haven't passed a budget timely. And we can sit here and say, is that a Republican and Democratic issue? Is it political? the bottom line is it hasn't happened, and it's caused issues for other school districts, including our own, about getting funding. So the one thing it is doing potentially down the line is giving more of that power to the state and taking it away from your school board. The one positive that we can say about it, and I try not to be biased with this presentation, but is that we are in an area where we really, as a board, have done, I have to pat us on the back, an excellent job working together and trying not to raise our taxes. I certainly voted against the budget the last 2 years, but it was for other reasons. The board really worked hard to try to do the best we could do as a collective with getting a good, responsible budget. But now, as you see a smaller commercial district in our areas and seeing the taxes going up, and we're over 43 mills now, meaning we're around sixth highest amongst all school districts in the county, eventually down the line, that could be problematic for us as our district, because where are we going to get our money from? So there is maybe a silver lining in this where it can help districts like ours or William Penn or other districts where there's not a strong commercial backbone and we're not leaning on our residents as much. But the money has to come from somewhere. So I just urge everybody to just pay attention to this and see, on your own, do a little bit of research and see where you are. And if you're not comfortable with the legislation that's coming down the line, make sure you call your representative and let them know. And if you ever have any questions, you can call, you can send me an email, or, I'm likely coming off the board now because of my election. So whoever the next legislative representative, please get in contact with them, because this is a really serious situation that we all should be aware of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Delaware County Community College, Mr. McGarvey.
Yes, no report at this time for the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. The Delaware County Intermediate Unit, that would be me. The Delaware County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors met on November 1st, 2017. It was approved to appoint Dr. Carol DeBoe as the Director of Human Resources for a 4-year term. I probably just killed her name, but there it is. Approved the DCIU to contract with Southeast Delco District for Google Classroom training. Approved the DCIU to contract with Upper Darby School Districts for psychological evaluations. Approved the DCIU contract with William Penn School District for curriculum review. Approve a facilities project at the DCIU Fallcroft campus to erect an early childhood education building at the cost of $10 million, not to exceed. For more news and information, go to dciu.org. Thank you. Moving on to next motion, please, Mr. Evans.
For personnel, motion that the following personnel actions be approved, starting with 10.1 to 10.6, beginning on page 2 and ending on page 4.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board?
Comment.
Mr. Chavone.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The first motion in 10.1 is for the new Director of Facilities, and if this passes, I just want to say before, as a part of the interview committee, Mr. Galloway was a rock star. We're really excited. I know I don't want to speak on behalf of the entire board, but many of the board members were really excited after, we saw your interview, and we're really excited at your ideas, and we hope that you continue to bring those ideas. We would love them. We know the maintenance department is an opportunity to save a lot of money, so we're hoping that, with your experiences, that we can see some potential savings there. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavone. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Galloway, would you like to stand up? Welcome to the club. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion with regret that the following retirement be approved. Motion 11.1, Julia DiMaggio, bus monitor with 21 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective October 26, 2017.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
In the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, motion that the following items be approved, starting with 12.1 to 12.10, beginning on page 5 and ending on page 6.
Second.
It It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
13, Office of Special Education and Pupil Services. Motion the following items be approved, starting with 13.1, going to 13.6, beginning on page 6, and ending on page 6.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Technology, motion the following items to be approved, 14.1 to 14.3.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Finance, motion that the following items be approved, 15.1 and 15.2.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 16, that the Board of School Directors approve the following memorandum of understanding between the Interboro School District and the Interboro Education Association under the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement that expires on June 30th, 2020. And this is a roll call motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. Can we have a roll call, please, Mrs. Caldwell?
Ms. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Chavone?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. McGarvey?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBattista?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. His motion passes 9-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 17, that the Board of School Directors approve the attached resolution number 17 expressing the intention of this school district to incur debt for the purpose of refunding the school district's General Obligation Funds Series 2014. And this also is a roll call motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board?
Comment.
Please.
This is a difficult decision. We get a lot of comments sometimes from the public on this. But this is actually to save some money. We actually do spend money to make this motion happen, but at the same time, though, we are saving money, so it does pay for itself. It's one of those difficult decisions we have to make in this time as a district. As Mr. Burns stated earlier, we are scrounging for every penny that we can get to keep this district moving and make improvements. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Any other comments? Hearing none, may we have a roll call, Mrs. Caldwell?
Ms. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Chavone?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. McGarvey?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBattista?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Motion passes 9-0. Any old business? Any questions or from the board?
Comment?
Please, Mr. Phelps.
I would just like to thank Mr. Eckert and Ms. DeBattista personally. They were a great asset to this board. We appreciate your service for your community and to this school district. And as Ms. Riley said, I know it's not easy, but we really do appreciate and will truly miss your help on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Any other comments, please?
Comment?
Mr. Evans.
I'd also like to echo Mr. Phelps's sentiments regarding Mrs. DeBattista and Mr. Eckert, especially Mr. Eckert with his length of service to the community and the school district, and Mrs. DeBattista because it was a hard-fought battle for her to come here. She stuck it out, won 4 years, and we're going to be sorry to see both of them leave. You never know who's coming on the board and what type of personalities and what changes might come with that. So we appreciate both of those folks and the time their family had to sacrifice being with them. I noticed they got gifts for leaving. I think we should get gifts for staying, but but nonetheless, thank you very much.
Any other comments?
Comment.
Please.
First off, I'd like to thank everyone for their kind words. The other thing is, when I started on this board, I didn't have any gray hair. So that's what the last 10 years have been like. I would like to thank my wife, Christine, for her effort in getting dinners and saving dinners for all the nights for the meeting, so I do appreciate that. Thank you. I also would like to thank the whole entire staff of Interboro. There's too many departments to name individually, but the students' day starts with them leaving the house, going with the crossing guards, entering buildings that are always kept clean and up to date, with the maintenance as well. We have, our buildings are old, but they are in very excellent shape, from the maintenance departments into the secretaries that greet the children in the morning, to the teachers' aides that are there to help with the teachers, to the teachers themselves that have done an excellent job, followed by the administrators that are keeping all the paperwork and everything together. It is a whole motion to educate one child in this district, and we at this district and you as employees of the district have done a great job doing that. So I would like to thank all of you. As I said, it's not just the teachers, it is a whole family of people that keep this district moving. So thank you with that. With that, I also, some difficult decisions over the years are raising taxes, but again, at this district, we have been able to maintain many extracurricular activities and athletic sporting events here at the district, paid by the district's, the taxpayers. And I started this last couple months ago, and I probably should have started it years ago. I urge you as parents and grandparents and guardians to get your children involved in something. The tax dollars are paying for this. Please use those activities to keep your children involved and off the streets. And lastly, I would like to challenge the new board coming on in December to throw their support to Superintendent Riley. She has done an excellent job with this district, as stated earlier. We've had some dark times in this district. Some of it might have been necessary to stir the pot, to keep things moving forward. Maybe it wasn't all bad, it was turmoil, but there were some good things that came out of it. But I urge this board that after you guys get done with this budget process, that you begin the process of supporting Superintendent Riley in the future endeavor of our contract. So thank you to all, and Ms. Debdepista, you did a fantastic job as well. Thank you.
Any other comment? No.
Yes, Mr. Harris.
Yes, please.
I would just like to congratulate the teachers for their years of service. I personally know Miss Phillips for 6 years since she taught my daughter, and I knew when I met her she was going to be one of my favorite teachers. Thank you.
Any other comments?
One more comment, please, sir.
Go ahead, please.
I wanted to thank Mrs. Leary, going way back, not that far back, but when my daughter was young, she was probably the first teacher who had to talk to us about keystones and PSSA testing and standardized testing in the district. And her and I had a long discussion, which I got chided by my better half for. But Mrs. Leary knew way back when that, you know, standardized testing was not the answer to education, and I appreciated her time and her efforts in having to roll with it anyway, and all the teachers who have to struggle through the standardized testing as mandated by the state. So thank you, Mrs. Leary.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just have one on a personal note. It's been an honor serving with the board and working with our departing board members. Debbie and I have been in the trenches for many years working together, and same with Mr. Eckert, and I will definitely miss them all. And thank you to all the teachers for their services that are retiring. It means a lot to us. Now we're going to turn this over to Superintendent Riley for her last minute comments and news
Thank
and
you.
happenings.
I have a few quick announcements. I would also like to welcome Bill Galloway as our new Director of Facilities and Operations. He comes to us with a wealth of school district experience. He's been here a few times and he has hit the ground running, and I'm looking forward to him being here full-time and working with our administrative team, and I think he's going to be an incredible asset to the district. So welcome, Bill. Welcome. Just a reminder to all of our K-8 parents, conferences are taking place next week, November 20th, 21st, and 22nd. The students are off. For our high school students, they are here with an 11:20 dismissal on Wednesday, the 22nd. So I encourage as many parents as possible to come out, meet with your children's teachers, hear about how they are doing and progressing in school, and keep those lines of communication open. Also, on Thanksgiving Day, the annual football game between Ridley and Interboro will be taking place at Ridley High School this year. We will have shuttle services in the morning beginning at 8:45 and leaving from the large parking lot here at the high school. If you are not able to make the game, this is the first year that Sports Radio 94 WIP will be broadcasting the game live. Joe DeCamera and Joe Ritchie will be announcing from the booth, and Howard Eskin will be on the sidelines. Over 200,000 people cast their vote to vote for this game to be broadcasted. With that, each school will receive $2,500 donation. So thanks to all that voted. We look forward to seeing you at the game, and we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving with your family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Riley. On Monday, December 4th, 2017, a board reorganization meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. in the Kindergarten Academy Multipurpose Room. At this time, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.